Welcome to Travel Market Life. I'm Ryan Haynes, and this is the series, The Hotelier's Voice, where we speak to hotels to find out about their decision-making, procurement decisions, and implementation of technology within their properties. Today, we're going to be speaking to Jayson Heron-Smith, the Director of Sales and Marketing at Cordiz Hotels Auckland, part of Langham Hospitality Group. In that, we're going to be looking at some of the different types of technologies and systems and platforms that they're addressing currently within their properties. One of them looking at data protection, F&B reservation systems, unified guest platforms, and how they're trying to increase and improve the guest experience through other technologies, including Wi-Fi, online gifting, and how they're looking at utilizing and optimizing the performance of their data to give them some insights into the performance of their property. Now, as we know, New Zealand went into quite a strong lockdown at the beginning, and they've been in a second lockdown. So joining us, hi there, Jayson. How has 2020 been panning out for you so far? You've had to react quite quickly, and New Zealand itself has managed to contain the number of cases. But how's that been for the hospitality industry?
Yeah, the industry's been hit really hard. I mean, certainly during that initial lockdown, it was, level 4 for 6 weeks. No one could really leave home pretty much. So we were lucky we had some guests here in the hotel that also couldn't get home. And that kept us going through that period. So we had, staff or minimal staff come in, but it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. We came out of that first lockdown, and we had no cases for 100 days. It was brilliant. Life was all rosy, and then lo and behold, we had another cluster appear. So that's sent us all back into lockdown. Not quite as strict as before, but it's definitely had an impact on business. Across the country, the tourism sector has been hit most hardest.
I mean, you run a very large hotel. In fact, as you told me, the largest hotel in New Zealand with over 400 rooms, plans to expand that to over 640, as well as additional function space. So a lot to juggle when it comes to managing the number of guests inside, especially with social distancing, communications around cancellations of trips, changes in stays, the management of rates and inventory. You must have a pretty large team as well. How many people work with you within the hotel?
When we were operating at full capacity, it was around 440, and now I think we have around 330 staff. We did have to restructure slightly, but we've managed to retain, I guess, most of our team, which has been brilliant.
So, I mean, a lot of that must come down to as well, making sure that you have the right technology in place. I mean, with these lockdowns, you can't go into the office. That must have been quite a bit of a shock to you guys, because most hotels, they have the desktop computers that they have, they're fixed in spaces. So, how were you guys able to respond to that and the type of tech needed for your team to be able to continue operations?
Yeah, sure. I mean, most of the sales team obviously have a laptop, as do the executive team. But, people like, our finance guys and HR certainly didn't. And, we needed a lot of them to continue to work, but they couldn't come into the office. So our IT guys just had to come up with ways of enabling people's personal devices so that they could access systems and log in, in the VPN to environment to do their jobs, which I think they did a really good job, and they obviously supported those individuals as well, and all the problems that they encountered whilst at home over those periods. So our IT team were very busy.
Well, it seems like from the conversation we've had already that they've been incredibly busy anyway. They didn't need lockdown as part of all of this. And one of the things that you've been implementing within the properties is new data protection. And this has been quite a high priority for you guys. Can you tell us about why that's so important to your group?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think it's just the global environment. I think I mentioned to you the New Zealand Stock Exchange just as recently as, the last couple of weeks was closed down, from cyber attacks. So I think that lasted about 5 or 6 days. You see constantly in the news, even about elections in the UK and the US, and how all of that happens. And there's so much phishing with the PH going on and all of that kind of thing. I think being a luxury hotel chain, the expectation on us and what we want to provide is such a high level of security that it's certainly become a big focus to protect people's data and information.
And I guess the impact of the European GDPR has really had an impact as well on what your requirements are of protecting guests and and their data.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Langham globally adopt that GDPR as a global standard. So that's, I guess, the minimum that we, want to comply with. So it's top of mind.
Now, one of the other things is your development of a unified guest management platform, and you've been building that on the base of Opera. Can you tell us what is the key facets of this guest management platform and why it's so important to upgrade and develop this?
Yeah, so it's they call it like a unified guest platform. So effectively, it's all the systems talking to each other. So Opera being the property management system, but also Synexus, which is our reservation system, through to our marketing databases for the hotel, but also food and beverage, and also reservation system for food and beverage as well. So we've got a picture across all of that around people visiting the property and what they're doing, so we can better understand their needs. We can market to them. We can give them the appropriate level of service they require and know what they need. It's all about anticipatory service and things just magically appearing before you can ask for it. And so that's the goal, and we are definitely getting there. So certainly, the F&B reservation system was one of the most recent things to be implemented, and we'll talk to Opera for sure.
And so, I mean, you're working with Opera to develop this system, or are you using Opera as a base to develop this in-house?
Well, no, it's I'm sure our teams, like our LHG team in Hong Kong, are talking to Opera. At a property level, we're not necessarily involved with that, but we have to, whilst they set it up, we've got to then roll it out. So we're certainly actively engaged in that.
And one of the other things that is the actual increase in bandwidth for internet as well. You're looking at bringing in the unlimited data and Wi-Fi 6 coverage. Why is that so important for a hotel like Cordis?
Yeah, so we've got one of the large meeting spaces in the city. So we could have, up to 1,000, 1,200 people on site for, a variety of events. And then we could have 1,000 people in-house, plus another, 200 in the restaurant. So it's a lot of people. So you need that bandwidth. Everyone has a device. A lot of people, especially internationals, want to connect to Wi-Fi because they don't have the data through their provider. Unless you're purchasing it at like $10 or $20 a day, whatever it might be. So for us, we really need to be able to flex that bandwidth and have the latest technology that's going to provide that. And also for, I guess, what would you say, the longest period into the future. So you can have it working well, the investment is worth it for the next, 5 years or however long it will last.
I mean, is a real important part is that investment. It's like, okay, what am I looking at now? But also, how is this system going to look like in 2, 3, 5 years' time? Is that a really key part of your procurement process?
Yeah, absolutely. You obviously need to put an ROI around everything. So, one of the key or basic things or parts of that is how long is this, going to be in place for before we have to upgrade again or
Absolutely. And I mean, it's not just as well some of these sort of like larger systems, but you've also been looking at how you're reporting and the sort of data that you're getting. So you've been working as well to bring in new capabilities with Travelclick and STR reporting, right?
Yeah, definitely. So Travelclick, provide a lot of GDS intelligence through their agency 360 reporting. Previously, you could look at, volumes of business to the city by IATA, travel agent IATA number. You could see, how many room nights, how much was going into your competitor set, how much you were getting. But it was really at that agency level. You couldn't see who the corporates or the companies were that those agencies were booking. Now they've evolved their tool to include that, so we can see another level of data, which as you mentioned, we're expanding, so we're clearly looking for more clients. So that'll really help us target people that are traveling, and the data, what would you say, will change because of COVID as well. So who was traveling before might not be who's traveling now, or over the next sort of year or two. So we need to have that insight is, really important for us.
Yeah, so a move from the historical to more live, present, real-time data to see how the market's behaving and who's actually engaging with that market for you guys is going to help you optimize the sales opportunities that are available.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a very specific thing. And then, you mentioned STR as well. And I think, as I said to you, Auckland is probably not the first city to roll this out. We're probably one of the last. But our future reporting as well, and the forecast. So basically, we set up reports in Opera, STR, and they get sent to STR. They collate that data, and we can look at the occupancy and rates and bookings in the city over a future period. So I know it's been rolled out in Australia, and no doubt it's been in London for quite a while. But for us, it's certainly new, and we're looking forward to the data that will provide, because we still don't have our first report yet, but it's soon.
And I guess that gets you to be able to crunch the numbers, look deeper into the market, and be more effective with what you're doing. You're not having to compile all these reports yourself and to try to analyze that data so intently. So that must free up a lot of time for you and your team to actually act on this information.
Yeah, definitely. I think certainly the Travelclick data, I've worked for other chains before, and, they keep very detailed lists of, which companies are booking through which IATA. And that is a lot of work to compile that information. So to have, and it'll only get better. Travelclick doing that it will save that time. The STR data will provide, I think, a lot of insight. In these uncertain times, you really, what would you say? Not guessing. That's probably the wrong way to put it. You're making a number of assumptions around what's happening. Whereas at least with this, you've got some insight. You don't call your friend at the hotel down the road. You can just access the data on the comp set. So it's probably a more reliable way of doing it as well.
I mean, on top of that, though, you have your revenue management system from Ideas, and that's also going through an upgrade. What's the value you're seeing from a revenue management system for Cordis?
Yeah, so we upgraded, from G2 to G3. I think it's just a lot more flexibility, and for us, it's about our new property, the expanded offering. It's going to allow us a lot more insight into how we might manage that inventory and move forward with our rates.
Excellent. And also from a guest perspective, you've also brought in a gifting platform, which has allowed you to provide a wider range of products as gifts as well, and that's become automated, and that's, I understand, has saved you time. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's a company, a UK company actually, called SK Chase. And they've been working with the Langham London for quite a while now, and they've been doing such a good job. We're rolling them out globally, and we were one of the first hotels outside of London to implement that. So it's been quite recent, but I guess our reservations team were doing everything on a spreadsheet, and everything was paper, and it was all very time consuming. So this is all online. Guests can basically do it all themselves. We will still provide packaging, for special occasion, etc. But ultimately, guests can receive an email with a QR code, and then they can come and redeem that on site. So it's a very straightforward process. Our spa has been the star so far, doing great revenues through there. And then Cordis just celebrated its 5th birthday, the brand. So we did sell quite a number of those packages that were part of that celebration through the gifting platform. We're looking at, I guess, some of our products as well, from pillowcases to candles, everything in between, about selling all of that online as well. So it'll just give our shop a bit more revenue too.
Yeah, so really sort of diversifying the type of products and that you're actually selling through that, which is, I guess, as you say, greater revenue opportunity. I mean, a lot of systems, a lot of change. How are you handling this within your operations teams?
Yeah, well, I think they've been key to the success of all these initiatives. Really, they, it's so important to get their buy-in to these systems when you roll them out, and it's really the only way that you succeed. They are, I mean, at this hotel, it's been here quite a while, and the team are quite experienced, so they're very open to doing things differently. It's really part of Langham's culture to always look at improving, and how, even though a process might be working, is there a way of doing it better? So that's sort of embedded in our culture as well. So I think that helps with the adopting of new technology, and the team can see the benefit to them, whether it's faster or more efficient, deeper insights, more data, whatever the benefit is, they can see that, and it improves their I guess their job really, and what they're doing, and how they feel about it.
And within Langham, you've got the Langham Logic teams in order to. It's not just a top-down approach, but it's also people-driven. How are you using these Langham Logic teams? I mean, how would you describe these groups?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you're rolling out, software like the gifting platform, for example, you've got really, it involves so many parts of the hotel, even though it doesn't maybe sound like it, but we've got someone from the spa, front desk, finance, the reservations team, our digital marketing people, and even sales people. I think there was someone from HR in that one as well, actually. To look at it from all those different angles, and really, thrash it out, and look at the best ways of doing things. It's not just about the project person, who in this case was a digital marketing manager, assuming everything and just kind of, telling them how to do it. They really had to get involved, and it included IT, actually, funnily enough, this one. So because it is, I guess, a third-party vendor doing it, so it's not, software in-house specifically. But yeah, so our IT team really needed to engage as well, and they had to set up payment gateways with banks and probably things that they hadn't done before. So, but those Langham Logic teams, are really good. I think good way of doing it, and again, it helps get that buy-in that I mentioned previously as well.
And then final question for you for today. It's what technology are you looking at next to bring into the properties?
Yeah, well, I think two key things. So we've got IPTV on site as well. So it's certainly one of my pet peeves is, not being able to cast from your device, iPad, phone, whatever, onto the television. So that is going to be a hot priority for IT. I'm going to keep reminding them. But yeah, I think it's important to be able to stream or share content on that TV in the hotel room. It's, we can all do it at home, so why can't we do it, when we stay in a hotel? And the other one, for a variety of reasons, is the digital key to access the guest rooms, to ditch the plastic, and just to make things a bit more user friendly.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's quite a list of achievements that you've got there, and plans that you have in place. Jayson, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today about your technology in your hotel.
No problem at all. Nice to speak with you.
Thank you. Well, check out more of the Hotelier's Voice series as we speak to hoteliers across the world to find out about new technologies and systems that they've been implementing in their hotel, and their approach to that implementation within the property and amongst their team. For more information, check out travelmarket.life, where you'll see a full list of episodes and series that we've been working on. Thanks, and ciao for now.